So hello and welcome to today's episode of Buddy Beta, where today I'll be going over every single one of Buddy's cut missions. As you can probably guess, there were a rather high amount of them that were cut in total. I won't be going over any cut activities as I did a video on that years ago which I'll link to in the description below. So we're going to go in order, starting all the way from chapter 2 to chapter 7. And the reason I didn't say chapter 1 is because from my knowledge chapter 1 has no deleted missions. Anyway, let's begin with chapter 2 and Small Offences. Now, even though this mission does appear in Scholarship Edition, the entire mission content was gutted entirely, and we were left with nothing more than a 30-second cutscene. Originally, this mission would have had Jimmy helping out Brandy by going around Old Vale and smashing garden gnomes for her. And this mission would have seen Jimmy paying a visit to Parker and Tad's homes and smashing up their garden gnomes. Now, audio files still exist for this, mostly, as there is an entire deleted segment of Parker and his gnome and Parker getting a bit weird with his gnome, but sadly Tad Spencer's quotes are pretty much non-existent except for a couple. After completing this mission, the rest of the garden gnomes would become available. Another side mission would be 2_SS01. Now, how I know it's a side mission is how Buddy labels its missions. With mainline missions, it's referred to as chapter number _ and then just a regular number, while side missions are referred to as chapter number _ letter and then the number. So yeah, anyway, 2_SS01, it's unknown what mission this was supposed to be and only the mission marker exists. All that's known about it is it would have started near the wall of the girls' dorm where Beatrice's missions take place, but on the opposite side. As far as I'm aware, there's no other files left over for this. We do have a mainline mission that was deleted now, and it's 2_10. Now, a bit like 2_SS01, it's unknown what this mission would have contained as only the mission marker exists, but the mission would have started on the beaches of Old Vale. But it is a very safe bet to assume it would have involved the preppies in some way considering it's chapter 2 and a mainline mission. So on to the third chapter now, and we'll begin with another side mission, 3_S08. Now interestingly, this would have been started near the petrol station in Bullworth Town and would start Peanut. We know this because the file name is 3_S08 Peanut. And fun fact, this was actually Mailbox Armageddon, which like Small Offences does exist in Scholarship Edition, but as you may know, Mailbox Armageddon is only seen in chapter 5 in Blue Skies and is given to Jimmy by Clint, the townie. Peanut is nowhere to be seen anywhere at all in this mission, or anywhere in the story outside of the chapter 3 intro. Also, very interestingly, despite starting in Blue Skies, and I'm talking about the final mission here, Jimmy outright teleports pretty close to this location after the mission ends. So to me, this very heavily implies the entire mission didn't really change much and was going to have a very different plot with Jimmy and Peanut. Now keep that in mind as Clint's other mission, the Collector, will make an appearance here later on as well. The next mission is 3_S09. Now this mission, which has no name, can be played, but it is very buggy and crashes after the first objective. Anyway, upon starting this mission, Jimmy begins at the motel in Bullworth Town at night time. The clock turns itself off, and the motel's parking lot has police cars here, which it never does in free mode. All we see in front of us are 2 snow barricades, which are never seen anywhere in the final game. And to the west of Jimmy we see 3 greasers, Vance, Lefty and Ricky, and because the mission is very bugged, they just stand about, don't do anything, and are very friendly to Jimmy, until one of them is provoked, which causes all 3 of them to attack Jimmy at once, heavily implying that this might have been the first objective, because once the greasers are knocked out, the game outright crashes. This might be due to a deleted character or prop that was supposed to spawn here. There is an unused mission trigger file which is left over which tells us a bit more what the mission was going to contain, but it is very messy. What I can say is there would have been ambushes, more snow barricades, and at some point Jimmy might have gone on the roof in Bullworth Town, and the mission would have had appearances from the motel manager, who remains unknown, maybe that's why the mission crashes, the police, Mr. Burton and Mrs. Carvin. Either way, this mission did look really good and it's a shame it got cut. The next mission is actually a mainline story mission, and it's Rendezvous. Now Rendezvous was going to be a mainline story mission in chapter 3 and still remains in the game's files and can be played. It is fully playable and has a working pre-mission scene and near enough everything works as intended, except for the mission soundtrack and mission specific quotes, because even though there are mission quotes that exist in the files, it doesn't play them in this mission for some reason. It looks like it's a very late cut, and this mission was going to be available after the mission Bait. The mission cutscene begins with Jimmy looking for Johnny Vincent and instead he finds Lola, who flirts with Jimmy and manages to convince him to look after her when she goes to meet Tad Spencer in Bullworth Town. And the mission objectives are simple: get to Bullworth Town and be Tad's guardian angel. Mission ends, really, that's it. It's unknown why it was cut, and it seems rather weird why Jimmy would turn against Johnny Vincent in this manner, knowing full well what Lola's like. At least Jimmy going to protect Algernon and tagging upon Darby's request seemed a bit more natural. Or maybe because the mission was a bit too easy, I don't know. Another mainline mission that was deleted entirely was 3_11. A bit like the 2_10 blip, it appears to be another deleted mainline mission considering there's no letter before the number, and there are no other leftover files whatsoever. It is located pretty close to where Jimmy begins Miracle on Bullworth Street, so there is a possibility that this could be the original mission marker for that mission instead, but also equal chances of it being another deleted mainline mission. The next mission is a rather special one, and it's it's not really an official name, but I call it Christmas Hunt because there is no official name. But this mission was cut at some point when the boys' dorm had 2 floors. It began on Christmas, and when Jimmy would make his way out of his dorm room, he would overhear Justin, Pedro and Trevor conversing, and Justin tells him that Harrington House have hidden presents all across town, possibly implying that this might have been a timed exclusive kind of thing, a bit like the Halloween collectibles were. It's unknown what the rewards were or where these presents would be or whatever, but if the mission is modded into the game and started up somehow, it just crashes after a few seconds. So on to chapter 4, and now the most arguably infamous mission on this entire list, the paddle. Now the paddle was going to appear in chapter 4, and the mission would have involved Jimmy stealing Dr. Crabble Snitch's paddle, planting it on Damon West, and then snitching on Damon to Crabble Snitch, making it sound like Damon stole it. This mission is entirely deleted from the game's files, there's no way to play it. But interestingly, the mission's quotes still remain, plus the camera data for the mission's camera shots, which can be modded back in. And by that I just mean the camera shots, not the cutscene itself. Also, this mission appeared in Buddy's Christmas trailer, which itself is pretty infamous for Gary's Spank Me line. So we know Gary Smith would have appeared in this mission too, which actually would have made it his only appearance in chapter 4. Now the next mission I'm going to mention is one that you probably didn't know exists, and it's called Off-Road Romance. And it still exists in the game's files, and by that, I mean it only exists on the beta Wii builds of the game, and even then it's incredibly unplayable. So on the beta Wii builds of the game, at some point during chapter 4 a mission marker appears near the lighthouse, on the ledge overlooking it, and if you start this mission, absolutely nothing happens. The game fades and loads up a very empty mission, there's no objective and you're essentially soft-locked until you get knocked out or do something to end the mission. So how do we know it's linked to romance then? Well, initially when this mission was discovered it was just referred to as 4_DC, because there's no text files, there's no audio files, no data files or anything really. But when Simon Bestia skimmed through the files he found out that in the chapter 4 act image or something like that, which apparently has all the mission names hard-coded in there, not necessarily in the text files, the initial mission name was there, listed as Off-Road Romance, which basically confirms the romance thing. Now while no other files do exist, I wouldn't be surprised if this mission revolved around Christy Martin, as she is the only kissable girl who has no role whatsoever in the game to make her kissable. She just is after Art Class 1. Like Angie serves as our tutorial guide, Beatrice after the diary, Lola after Lola's race, etc, etc, but Christy has nothing like this. So maybe this was going to be her romance mission? I don't know, but to me it seems really likely. So on to chapter 5 now, and we're going to cover the Collector. Now a bit like Mailbox, Armageddon and Small Offences, this does appear in the scholarship editions of the game, but there is a beta version of this mission that exists on the Wii version, and instead of starring Clint aka Henry, it would star Edgar Munson and Lola, which is interesting since this could imply it's a continuation of what Johnny said at the end of Finding Johnny Vincent.
Thanks for getting me out, Jimmy. Some of the local kids said they'd gotten together with Lola. I went a little crazy. Yeah, anyways, I gotta find Lola, see if it's true or not. See ya!
Now mission wise, the mission is near enough identical to the one from the final game, except rather than deliver bikes to Clint's garage, you get 3 bikes, one for Gurney, one for Otto, one for Edgar. Interestingly, even with the beta version, it does play the cutscene with Clint, so this mission was drastically overhauled, which itself is weird since, in the final game, on all versions except the Wii version, the mission cutscene takes place in New Coventry and not Blue Skies. Overall, this mission is just very messy, and I'm talking about the final version here, not the beta version. It's just messy and incomplete as fuck. Considering that Clint's other mission, Mailbox Armageddon, also seemed to have been a later overhaul to feature him, says just how rushed these missions were. Anyway, I think I've ranted a bit too much there. On to chapter 6, and Save Russell. Now interestingly, there's a blip located outside the power plant where you fight Edgar. It's called Save Russell and would have served as a separate mission to that of Complete Mayhem. Considering how far back the mission would have been started in the power plant, and nowhere near Zoe's house, and after Jimmy's expulsion from Bullworth, it seems really likely that the entire part of saving Russell before the riots break out was going to be much longer and more of a traditional mission rather than, say, a single easy objective like it is in Complete Mayhem. So on to the final chapter, with Chapter 7. Now sadly, Chapter 7 was a very early cut as barely anything remains here. We have 2 mission markers, but we know there were going to be at least 3 missions planned. Fun fact, if you use the supermod and change the season to summer, check the in-game menu and it will say Chapter 7 Summer instead of Chapter 6 in Roman numerals. 7_01 would have taken place outside Jimmy's Beach Club safe house in Old Boar Vale, specifically at this point where Jimmy picks up a Grottos and Gremlins card. The only other file that exists is 7_03 and that would have taken place in the Boar Vale Cemetery. 7_02 doesn't exist anywhere at all, but because the third mission's marker does, it pretty much confirms the second one was here at some point obviously. Either way, it confirms the chapter would have been heavily set in Old Boar Vale again, much like the second chapter, but it's unknown if it means that Chapter 7 would have been an epilogue, like the Red Dead series has, or if Complete Mayhem turned out differently and Gary got away or something like that, and maybe Chapter 7 was going to follow off from where Jimmy was expelled, as in Chapter 6 originally began with Go See the Principal, so who knows. Now I do believe that those are all the missions that Buddy had to offer. I say this because in a pre-release article from some PS2 magazine, they claim there were 50 story missions and 25 side missions, so 75 in total. In the final game there's 54 main missions and 17 side missions on the PS2, which of course round us up to 74, one less than the 75 claimed by the magazine. But if we include Scholarship Edition's content on this, that's 58 main missions and 21 side missions, which give us about 79. We do know a few Scholarship Edition exclusive missions were planned for PS2 anyway, but including this video, Buddy had 14 missions cut, which would have put us at a damn respectable 93 missions total, slightly more than GTA 4 had to offer. But that's it for today's video. Let me know what you think of these deleted missions. Do you think some of them should have been cut? Do you think some of them should have actually stayed? Either way, let me know down below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.